Hello everyone, I am Carissa, and I thought I'd do a little something different today, a little chat instead of my usual Diary of an Alchemist series. What I wanted to chat about was psychic experiences, and can you have them later in life? I think so. I don't think you have to be born with them. I think some people are born with them, and some people develop them. The reason why this topic came up was I got my hair cut today, and my hairstylist, hi Tara, if you're watching, my hairstylist and I were talking. I've been seeing her for a few years, but somehow it came up. I was like, hey, I'm doing a YouTube channel, and she's like, well, what's it about? And I was like, well, shadow work, emotional healing, spirituality, and just the door opened, and like we were off talking about spiritual experiences and psychic experiences. And it's so fun how when you can find someone that you could open up with and you're like, oh yeah, have you experienced this and like this, and it's like there's a whole other side to life to experience than the average person talks about in their daily life. And so it's so much fun when you can find someone who can meet and talk on that level, of understanding like this whole like hidden world that goes on that we just don't talk about, you know? But anyways, this got me thinking about this topic because she was telling me that she's had psychic experiences and unusual things and these dreams of like flying and other dimensions and stuff since she was a little girl. And that is so cool. Like her third eye or her emotional sensitivity or spirituality or whatever is like wide open for these experiences and has been for her whole life. And I can't imagine, being aware of this that whole time. For me, my experience was very different because my parents were very like rational, logical. Yeah, we went to church up until I was like 15, but I feel like I probably believed in God and more of the spiritualness of religion more so than my parents, because I felt connected and tapped into something that was more sensitive. I don't know, that was the only acceptable outlet for that at that time. Yeah, it wasn't until I was like 28, I think, that I started having unusual kind of psychic experiences, and I even doubted them myself. Like I remember I had this crazy like enlightenment experience right after watching the TV show Lost. Love Lost. It's literally the metaphor of life. And I had this like massive epiphany, and I had this very I was in my body, but it was vibrating and like having this like crazy experience. I was like having this rush download of like all these ideas and like understandings of the world, and it was like coming in so fast, and I was hyperventilating, and it was just this wild experience, wild visions. Yeah. And at that time I didn't believe in anything spiritual. I didn't know of anything about Kundalini awakening or star seeds or telepathy or any of that stuff. Like I had no inkling of it, and yet I had this experience. So for me, my experience in life has been, I was totally closed off, and then because I didn't believe in any of it, but I was having these crazy experiences, what else can you do but believe it, you know? And so I told my husband about this one in particular, and I was like, do you think I'm totally crazy? And he's like, well, you experienced it, right? And I was like, yes, but do you believe me? And it boggles my mind, because I was like, I don't believe me, and I experienced it. And it's just so wild. He was so supportive, and it was really, I'm so thankful for him, because if it wasn't for him, I probably would have doubted the experience, which is wild because I experienced it. But I would doubt literally the thing that I went through because it wasn't socially acceptable. It's crazy to me. So all that is to say, like, my experience, whereas, Tara's experience, she's been having experiences since she was a little girl. So needing to build up the belief wasn't part of that process. It's just that she's getting to have these experiences, and however she pulls that through her life and, raises her daughter and teaches her and talks to people in the world, her clients, like, who are open to it, or passes messages on, like, however she experiences, it's just really cool. It's like it's flowing through her, this ability to channel psychically or receive messages, or just having those experiences, right? And then my experience of psychicness was, it's not like I had to earn it, but like I had to go from total not believing it to cracking open wider and wider to be able to have the experiences and also to understand them. And because they're so foreign and because I don't believe them, then I go deep into trying to understand, what is this? How did it come about? Can I, if I want this to happen more, how would I allow that to happen before? So for me, like, I need to play with the experience to fully understand it and grasp it and integrate it in. And that causes me to work through beliefs that I've had that limit me from having more of those experiences, or causes me to practice more meditation to tap into that, or practice letting go and alchemizing everything that doesn't serve me because I want to, one, but also it raises my vibration and I have more psychic experiences. And it's not like I'm trying to have more psychic experiences, it's that I'm opening up my consciousness, and because it's more open, I have more psychic experiences. So I think everyone can experience psychic phenomenon. It doesn't matter where you're at in life, if you were born with it or if you uncover it later in life, everyone can. But then here's the question: if everyone can, well, how do you start having more, right? That's always the next question. Like, okay, so if you believe that everyone can, then what do you do to have more of them, right? I think it's threefold. If you want to have more psychic experiences, there's the one path that everyone thinks of, which is I'm going to meditate more, I'm going to practice more, I'm going to get those little ESP cards and like practice trying to tune your mind into being able to sense things, trying to have like dreams, setting intentions, doing guided meditations, all that stuff. To me, that's like the hardcore, the very concrete way of doing it, and there's nothing wrong with it. And it's, I think everyone should do that if you're trying to develop psychic experiences. Me, myself, in January, I went to a psychic class. It's called Psychic Kindergarten by the Berkeley Psychic Institute. And it wasn't as cool as it sounds. Like, you would think like we're all like in there like psychically trying to guess things, and like, you know, it sounds like way cooler than it was. It was still really cool. It wasn't like that Hollywood coolness, right? It was mostly like 2.5 hours of guided meditation to ground ourselves, to clear our energy channel, and to be able to bring in more source energy. And doing that consistently and then practicing it through the weeks, we kind of tuned our senses to a more energetic sensitivity level. And I feel like that's kind of like going to the gym. If you're going to the gym, you're lifting weights, right? You're doing the repetition, the practice, you're putting in the practice, and that will pay off, right? You're strengthening the extra sensitive energy field of yourself to these things. But also, that's part one of training yourself to have psychic experiences. But also too, I think that what I was doing in meditation, in that guided meditation for several hours, was clearing out my energy channel. Kind of imagine like your human body, like vessel. You're like a vessel, you're like a pipe for consciousness to come in. And like psychic phenomena, it's just extrasensory perception, right? You can sense things other than the physical, like concrete world, right? You can sense energy and emotion and other beings and other dimensions, like everything that exists not on that physical plane. And so to do that, you've got to bring more of that in through you, so it can like mix with your energy and clear out some of that gunk that you've got kind of stopping it from coming through. So this meditation class was so helpful because we were grounding our energy. So we were getting really, really present in the moment, pulling our energy back from everywhere else it had been during the day, bringing ourselves totally into the present moment, getting really sensitive in our bodies, clearing out any of the chaos and the gunk and the, any emotion from the day, and then pulling in more of this like higher vibration energy and running it through our bodies. And there's a sensitivity to that. One, to be able to sense things outside of ourselves. But for me, I think the most important thing was I was being able to sense, my root chakra even better, and to ground it. And it really paid off in the last few months. I can ground so much easier. I've always been energy sensitive. In the last several years, I've learned that I'm energy sensitive, and just like, I have strong boundaries for it now. I wear bracelets all the time to stay grounded, especially at work. I work in customer service, a lot of customers, people's energy. I know how to ground someone else's energy when they come in, they're really anxious, and I can ground it away from me. Or put up a barrier if I need to, all these extra things that I was doing. But in this class, I was finally able to actually ground my energy in the present moment and be totally in myself without escaping or needing to put up walls or whatever. It's like I can stay present, and I can stay really in myself now without dissociating or trying to protect myself or whatever. I can stay empowered in the present and the now, no matter what's coming at me. So that's been really cool. So that's the twofold, right? So you've got the concrete exercises, you're doing the meditations, or you can do yoga, or you can do practices like at the ESP cards. I have those from Amazon, and just flip through them and try to practice, like seeing if you can sense the different symbols on them. You can do stuff like that. Two, you've got to clear the channel, like to be able to like sensitize your body and your energy chakras and your ability to sense the energy coming through you. So you're very aware of that. And when you're aware of you, then you're able to be more aware of what's you and what's other people, which also leads to the psychic phenomenon, right? Being able to pick up, like having worked with customers, I can tell there's a sensation when someone's thinking something and they want to say it. And I know that I'm picking up on their thoughts because it feels like a thought that keeps popping into my head, like I should say it, I should say it, I should say it. But it's not actually my thought, it's their thought, because then they'll say it and I'm like, oh, okay, it came from them. But I didn't know that that's what that phenomenon was until I experienced it enough where I was like, oh, I'm experiencing someone else's thought and they're feeling the pressure, the desire to say it, which is why it keeps repeating over and over and over. So then that leads to, if I'm talking to a friend or something and they want to say something and I can feel that thought, keep, trying to come in, and I'm like, so it's like this or whatever. And they're like, you read my mind. I'm like, yeah, I know. But literally, like, I know. So, I can't control it. I can't like just walk up to someone and like legilimens like Harry Potter and be like, I'm going to read your thoughts. But I don't know that that's not out of the question. I just haven't practiced it or figured that out or whatever. I think anything's possible. But I'm also like not trying to actively develop my psychic senses at this moment in time. Trying to make YouTube videos is stressful enough. No, it's just the consistency. It's a lot of work to do these. But I think that'd be really cool to experiment with at some point in my life, And then the third thing that I wanted to mention about developing psychic experiences or psychic senses is if you've been through a lot of shit in your life, and I mean like I don't know a nice way to say it. If you've been through trauma, if you've gotten a lot of like emotional baggage from relationships that have not ended well, or struggles with stability and financial stability and home stability and relationships, that is a hell of a lot of emotional energy that is directed towards your survival and your well-being. And you can't, you have to be tuned into the 3D physical world, right? Because if you dissociate from that, you won't be able to survive. You can't provide for yourself. It's not healthy to try to tune into that other world when you can't even, when you can't take care of your own survival. So if you're dealing with a lot of that, if you have a lot of emotional shit that's happened to you and you haven't dealt with it, imagine that's like that pipe that is clogged up with all that stuff. If you try to pull in extra, energy through when you have all that gunk, I want to say, in the filter or in the pipe, that you may be able to pull in higher vibrational energy through that, but it's going to filter in through the shit that you've been through. Your perception, your filter for the way that you see the world, that energy is going to come through that. And so there are a lot of people that I've met that are psychic, but like their advice feels very fear-based. Their tarot readings are very, when they're not scammy, when they're actually psychic, there's a hint of bullshit attached to it. And I feel like that comes from when you haven't cleared out that channel. That energy is coming through, but it's going to filter through your lens and your perception. And if you have a limited perception of the world, it's going to come through that way. I know a lot of people, that was an exaggeration. I know like 2 people who they've gone through a lot of shit that was not their fault, in life, but they also haven't dealt with it. And they have psychic experiences, beyond, like, experience other phenomenon, other dimensions, other, astral travel. And what they experience is very scary. Like, they report their experiences to be very scary. And my belief is that it's because it's filtering through their perception. There's a little hummingbird. Oh, it's so cute. It's filtering through. Oh my gosh, can you hear him? Can you see him? So cute. It's filtering through all that shit. And so it's going to come out. Their perception of the world is tinted with fear anyways, just walking around the 3D. And so when they go into extra dimensions, that is like what they're drawn, I don't want to say drawn to, but it's you're going to only be able to perceive what's on the same vibrational level as you. So it's like if the filter of the 3D physical world has fallen away, then you can perceive other things, but it's going to be at the vibrational match that you are. And so having psychic experiences when you haven't dealt with your own emotional baggage and shit, not that it might not be your fault, but just like if you haven't dealt with all that stuff that happened to you, that's what you're going to vibrationally match at when you open up to perceive things at other levels. Which is why I think that a lot of us are shut down from experiencing psychic things, because it's a safety mechanism. Like, if you are struggling to just deal with this life, just think about how much you're going to struggle to deal with other dimensions that you don't even know how to affect, right? And that can be very scary and cause you to shut down even further. So it might be a protective mechanism so that you can stay safe here in the 3D physical world. And I think it's important that we do that. It's fun and mysterious and everything to tap into something beyond ourselves, but it's important to take care of ourselves here in the present moment as well, Because that's a natural protective mechanism, it kind of makes sense that for me, I did not start having psychic experiences and did not start becoming more psychic until I had dealt with a lot of my own emotional shit, a lot of my own baggage. And my Diary of an Alchemist series is where I'm detailing the story of becoming aware of these lower vibrational energies. Really, it's just, that is what it is, but there's nothing negative. It was a result of conditioning from growing up, from living in a world with so many limits on my personal sense of power, and I had to work through that stuff by feeling the emotions, acknowledging them, being present with them, releasing them, and through consistently doing that daily over and over, releasing those, obviously my vibration started to rise, but I was also cleaning out the gunk in that pipe. So when I would go out into the world and I'd have a psychic experience, it was like, whoa, this is incredible. I'm not even trying. And I wasn't going to the gym trying to lift those weights to try and become more psychic. It was just happening. And so I think that would be true for most humans, that if you've got stuff to deal with and you deal with it through alchemy and shadow work and therapy and all of those things, you start to release that, your vibration's going to start to rise, you're going to start to clean out the gunk. If you take care of yourself, your body, if you rest, you exercise, it doesn't have to be vigorous, just 10-15 minute walk every day, just enough to get that energy going and flowing through your body. Because I'm less psychic on the days where I don't exercise, I'm way less tuned in. It's on the days where I go for that 15-minute walk in the morning that I get that energy moving through me. If you're eating as clean as you can, try to cut out the GMO stuff, the dyes, the artificial crap that's not even food, it's edible, but it doesn't mean it's food. And you can get more fresh fruits and veggies. You're bringing in source life energy into your body, and I think that's also going to make you more capable of tuning in to what is also part of that, which is source life energy outside of that, outside of the 3D physical can I talk? Outside of the 3D physical world. So yeah, doing all those things, I think that everybody can. I think that you can absolutely develop your psychic skills. And the fun thing about all this is, as you start to clear out that channel, you start to clear out the gunk, you start to deal with the baggage, for lack of a better word. It's not the word I want to be using because it sounds kind of cruel, but I'm saying it flippantly, kind of tongue-in-cheek, because it's real shit that we have to deal with, and it sucks, and I wish we didn't, but we all do, and it is what it is. So that baggage, like I'm saying it like in a, that thing that we all have to deal with. Dealing with that, releasing it, you're going to raise your vibrational level, eating clean, keeping the vessel clean, you're going to clear out that channel. Doing things like guided meditations is going to tap you in, being able to ground your energy, run your energy, cleanse your energy. That's all going to make you a clear channel, so that what you do then start to bring in is going to be positive things, things that are helpful to you. Things that aid you in your journey, people, places, events, things that just happen just perfectly, where you're just like, wow, it's like the stars aligned. They'll happen more often. And then you start to experience kind of the taste or the flavor, the essence of your psychic abilities. You'll start to realize you're more in tune with, like, if you touch an object, can you tell where it came from, or whose hands it passed through? Do you pick up on people's thoughts? You consistently read people's minds. Do you have prophetic dreams? Do you consistently dream about things before they happen? Do you receive messages from people, like see them in your dreams, they tell you something and you tell them in real life? And like what kind of channel you are for source energy consciousness, the extra dimensional, the extra sensory stuff will come through naturally and purely as you continue to keep your vessel clean and clear it out and begin to tune in to the internal world and tune into other energy. So yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. I don't have much more to say than that, other than I've had a Kundalini awakening experience that I did not try to have, and that was crazy. That day of flow where everything just kind of happened, manifested in, was really fun, and I'll be talking about that in my next Diary of an Alchemist chapter. What else? I mean, on the regular, because I've been at this particular job for this location for like 6 years now, I think. Yeah. There's customers that I see every single year, and so I won't see someone in a year, but they'll pop into my head, and then I'll know, okay, they're gonna call in the next hour or day, or they're gonna come in, and they do, and I'm not even surprised anymore, because it happens literally all the time, like weekly, several times a week. It just happens. The amount of times that I say something and my coworker's like, I was just thinking that, or vice versa. The amount of times that I'm thinking of a song and then I turn on my Pandora and it plays that song as the first one. Just so many things. And then you start to question, like, am I affecting the vibrational field? Is it affecting me? I think it's one and the same. It's both. We are creating and perceiving at the same time. And the closer you can get to that set point of doing that is like the combination of your human and psychic self together working in tandem in this dimension, which is really cool. So, yeah. I'll probably talk a lot more about the different psychic experiences that I've had, different entities that I've channeled or whatever, as we get there in the story, because at this point in my Diary of an Alchemist series, I am so closed off to all of that, and I'm enjoying the telling of the process of how I opened up to more, because I so didn't believe it before. And I think that I am proof that you can totally not believe any of that and then become a believer, not because you're trying or seeking to become a believer, but because life happens, and like you grow and you expand and your consciousness expands, and so you're able to hold the totality of life and consciousness even more so. So yeah, if you've had psychic experiences that you want to share, please do so in the comments below. I'd be curious to hear about them. I love talking about this stuff, and I wish it was a little more easy to talk about in talking to people, like as in like easier to bring up, and people aren't going to think you're batshit crazy if they're not into any of that, because I know from the people that I have opened up to, and they've opened up to me, that this is a lot more common than we would suspect. And yeah, so it's just a fun topic. Thanks for joining me. This was a different type of video than I usually do, and let me know if you like it. I'll do more, and I'm gonna keep posting on my Diary of an Alchemist series, changing that one into but I'm also uploading it as a podcast on my website. And yeah, gonna try to be a little more active on Instagram. So you can find me on carissa.the.alchemist on Instagram if you want to hang out, drop me a line over there. But yeah, thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.